There is a film that explains the Masons and the Illuminati in more detail than anyone ever has before, and as a result, mysteriously, just 4 days after the film was delivered, it was removed. To understand the mysterious details contained in the film, we first need to look at the film itself. Otherwise, the events won't make complete sense. That's why I sat down and rewatched the 3-hour film and explained it to you along with its editing. Let's get into the story. The film, starring Tom Cruise, begins with a couple getting ready to go to an important event. They leave their daughter with the babysitter and head out. And they enter a very elegant ball attended by people from the upper echelons of society. As they enter, they make small talk with the person organizing the event and proceed inside. And following everyone else's lead, they start dancing. While they're dancing, from their conversation, we learn that our main character is a doctor, and his name is Bill. He and his wife, Alice, separate. While Bill is chatting with his pianist friend from medical school, who later dropped out, Alice meets a man at the ball. The woman, either because she's tipsy from her drink or for some other unknown reason, chats in a somewhat drunken manner. Then they dance together. In their conversation, we learn that the woman used to run an art gallery, but it later went bankrupt. During their rather suspicious conversation, the man says things like, "I have connections. I can help you." Then he says the following. Meanwhile, Bill is talking to 2 different girls. In their conversation, we can see that this drink is making the women a bit more tipsy, so things are getting a bit complicated on both sides. On one side, the girls are flirting with the man, while on the other, the man is telling Alice about the benefits of cheating and trying to convince her. A man comes over, pulls Bill out of the situation, and tells him that Mr. Zeiger is feeling a bit unwell, then leads him over there. By the way, in many parts of the film, I'll have to blur the screen due to nudity, just so you know. Anyway, Bill goes over to Zeiger and we can see what the problem is. Zeiger was getting intimate with a woman, but the woman passed out. The reason she passed out is a bit more than that. Coke. She'd snorted powdered sugar. She'd overdosed. Bill treats the woman somehow. After the medical treatment, Zeiger thanks him and earnestly requests that this stay between them. Meanwhile, Adam offers to show Alice his extensive collection upstairs. But the next morning, Bill checks in at work and orders himself a coffee. Then he starts seeing his patients. Meanwhile, the family at home is getting ready for school. Afterwards, the family spends the rest of the day together as usual. But before the day ends, they snort powdered sugar in bed. Suddenly, their conversation shifts to last night's ball. Even Alice asks what he did with those 2 women and why they suddenly disappeared. Bill says that nothing happened. He explains that the reason he disappeared was because Mr. Ziegler felt unwell and he went to check on him. Then Bill asks Alice about the man she danced with. Alice says that the man invited her to have an affair, but she refused. Then she asks, "So were you jealous?" she asks. But Bill says he wasn't jealous, that he trusts his wife, and that he knows she would never do such a thing. Alice, on the other hand, is bothered by this. She gets upset because he wasn't jealous. She starts pressing Bill about it. Finally, while a bit tipsy, she tells him that years ago when they went to study, she says that she made eye contact with a man at the place and was very impressed by him. She says that if, at that moment, instead of just glancing and leaving, the man had come over to her, she would have wanted to be with him, disregarding her entire future with Billy and their daughter. Suddenly, the phone rings. On the phone, they say that someone named LOA has passed away. Billy, shocked by what happened, leaves. The person who greets him turns out to be the deceased man's daughter. She then examines her father and comforts him. The woman. She says that her father had a nice day and then went to sleep. She says that when she tried to wake him up, she realized he wasn't breathing and called for Billy. After a brief conversation in front of her father, the woman kisses Billy. At that moment, the woman's boyfriend Carl arrives. After Carl arrives, Billy leaves the house and walks down the street, feeling very confused and depressed. He is struggling to comprehend what his wife said to him. Meanwhile, a woman approaches him and asks for the time. After asking, she tries to walk and talk with him. She asks him if he wants to have some fun, saying her house is just nearby. Bill accepts the offer and goes into the house. That night, just as he's about to cheat on his wife there, he changes his mind at the last moment and leaves. From there, he goes to the place where his pianist friend, whom he spoke with at the ball earlier, is playing. After the performance, during their conversation, the pianist says some strange things. After this show, he was supposed to go to another place, but he didn't know the address. They only tell the address an hour before they go each night. And even more interestingly, the pianist keeps his eyes closed while playing. but on the last night he went, his eyes weren't closed as tightly, so he was able to see a little bit of the place. It was the strangest place he had ever seen in his life. At that moment, they call the pianist. He gets the location and password. A curious listener gets the address from the pianist. Since it's a costume party, he grabs a costume and goes. Even the entrance is quite strange. It's a door in the middle of nowhere, guarded by 2 guards. After giving the password, we see the grand mansion. At the entrance, he repeats the password, masks up, and goes inside. This place is less of a party and more like the headquarters of a cult with people in cloaks and masks. As soon as Bill enters, he finds himself in the middle of a ritual. 11 people dressed in black have formed a circle. The one in red in the center is spinning among them, holding a staff and a steaming device. He is uttering words in a language we don't know, in a chant-like tone. While our pianist plays in the background, the masked people around are watching those in the center. With the movements of the one in the center, those around him bow down to him. After that, events take place that I can't show due to YouTube policies, but I'll describe them verbally anyway. With another movement from the one in the center, the people who have formed a circle start undressing, and then they select some of the onlookers and take them somewhere. Of course, one of those chosen is Bill. As they're taking him upstairs, they tell him, "You don't belong here, you're in danger, and you should leave." But Bill doesn't listen. The 2 of them go to different places, and Bill starts to look around. Some of the people there are getting intimate in front of the others, while those who aren't participating just watch them. There's a rather strange atmosphere, and from time to time, some people are even looking the right way. While all this is happening, that woman comes to Bill again, pulls him aside, and once more tells him that he's in danger and needs to leave. But Bill doesn't care about this and wants to stay. While they're having this conversation, security comes and makes them wait. He says that the taxi he took is calling for him, and so they head outside. They pass through the doors, but I don't think Bill will be very pleased with where they end up. This time, he's really in trouble. They bring Bill forward and ask him to say the password. Bill says the password. Then the man in red steps in. He says, "Alright, give the other password." Bill hesitates. He doesn't know the other password and says he forgot it. Because of this, they forcibly remove his mask. Then they tell him to undress. But the woman who tried to warn him intervenes and stops them. She says, "Take me, not him." This way, Bill is set free. Before he leaves, they warn him not to get involved in this again and say that if he does, harm will come to him and his family. The next day, upon waking, he wants to investigate the events and check on his pianist friend. That's what he's thinking. To check, he goes to the hotel where the pianist is staying. When he asks at the reception, they tell him that pianist Nick left the hotel at 5 a.m. When Bill presses the receptionist a bit more, he learns that Nick checked out with 2 men, had a bruise around his eye, and looked a bit scared. After hearing this, he goes to the mansion where they were the previous night. He heads to the mansion. There, he is greeted by an elderly man with glasses. Without saying a word, he even hands over the envelope correctly. On the envelope, the following was written: "Give up your completely useless questions. And consider these words as a second warning. For your own good, we think this will be enough." After taking the envelope, he goes to the house of the woman he almost cheated on his wife with, but changed his mind at the last moment. Her roommate opens the door. She says the woman is not there, and that she probably won't come back here again. The reason is that she came home in a hurry that morning, told her she had contracted a serious illness, and left. When he hears this, he leaves the house. While walking down the street, he notices that someone is following him. When he realizes this, he hurriedly tries to call a taxi, but none of them stop or pick him up. To get away from him, he goes into a cafe. This way, at least to some extent, he manages to get rid of the person following him. After going inside and ordering his coffee, he opens the newspaper to clear his mind. There, a news story catches his eye. A former beauty queen was found dead in a hotel from too much powdered sugar. Thinking that she was the one who saved him even yesterday, he checks her into the hospital, and he goes to the morgue. When he examines the body, his doubts are dispelled. The person who saved him is now lying in front of him, and has lost her life because of this incident. Guys, because of the visuals and the topic I used in this video, it's likely that this video will be restricted. So, engagement is going to drop a bit. Actually, quite a bit. If you want to prevent this, you can like the video and leave a short comment, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you can subscribe too. Alright, let's get into the video. In the previous part, Zyger called him and asked him to come over. That's why Bill goes to see him. Zyger offers him a drink and says there's something he needs to tell him. But Bill, acting indifferent, says he doesn't know what he's talking about. Zyger then says that he was at the house too, saw everything, and asks what Bill was doing there. He also says that he knows Bill went to see Nick in the morning and talked to him at the reception. Then we learn that Zyger had him watched, roughed Nick up a bit, put him on a plane, and sent him back to his family. And these were the things that gave Bill away. It was the fact that everyone else arrived in luxury cars while Bill came by taxi, and that he talked about the second password. In fact, there was no such thing as a second password. They just used it to bait him. When he said he didn't know, they realized he had snuck in. To prove it completely, Bill shows the news clipping to Zyger, and he asks if it was the woman he saw in the morgue. Zyger confirms it, then he leaves and goes into the house. When he exhaustedly pushes open the door to his room, he sees, next to his wife, the mask he wore at the party resting on her pillow. Yes, the movie ends here. It was really quite interesting. The scenes were provocative and at times disturbing. But the truly disturbing part starts now. The director who made this film mysteriously passed away just 4 days after delivering the movie to Warner Brothers. After being hidden from the public for a certain period, the film was released. As you have also noticed, it clearly exposes the Illuminati and Freemasonry. Before looking at the film's revelations and references, let's consider why the director made such a movie. One of the films he made is Clockwork Orange, and this film was made in 1971. The movie posters look like this, so it's likely that director Kubrick had connections to the Illuminati. In fact, there were already plenty of claims about this topic at the time. While there are such references in his other films, in Eyes Wide Shut, which is the subject of our video, the entire plot revolves around this. Also, on the poster of our film, there is only a single eye. So this is also an Illuminati reference. Let's move on to the film. This is the first scene. If you wonder what this has to do with Freemasonry, here's how. The character here is standing between two columns. In Freemasonry, these two columns, believed to be taken from the Temple of Solomon, symbolize the entrance to mysticism. So these columns belong to the outer world. They symbolize doors opening to their secret realms. Throughout the first party's house, we see octagonal stars. These also symbolize Freemasonry. Walking towards Alice is Sandos Vazast, and he's Hungarian. You might be wondering why this is so important, but there's a connection here as well. He is the founder of the Church of Satan, which is the Church of the Devil. It's Anton Sandor, and he's Hungarian. Also, the name of one of the two girls Bill hangs out with is Noella Windsor. In the dialogue they created to make us notice something, they repeat her name several times. Windsor is the surname. It belongs to the British royal family. Also, in the conversation, the Rockefeller family is mentioned, which is one of the families that comes to mind when talking about the Illuminati. In the following scenes, let's take a look at the decorations in the part where Bill enters a woman's house. There are pagan masks and a sun symbol. This is a reference to the events that are about to happen. Let's look at the scene where things really heat up and he enters the house. Here, we also see two columns. The meaning here is that after passing through these columns, he will enter another realm. I didn't let you hear the sound in the ritual scene to avoid copyright issues. It's a mix of an Orthodox and a Hindu hymn. In the ritual scene, this hymn is played in reverse. You can tell by how strange the words sound. As you know, in satanic rituals, the ceremonies are performed in reverse. This is related to going against God. Let me show you this reversed, or rather, let me show you the normal version, so you'll understand better. So why has it been confused with Hindu hymns? Because in Hindu beliefs, Satanism is at the root of their gods. Anyway, let's look at the part where they caught Bil and brought him to the middle of the ritual hall. Here, on the throne where the red one, the ritual leader, is sitting, there is a double-headed eagle symbol. I'll show it now. The symbol is also the 33rd degree Masonic symbol, and it's the same as the one on this throne. So that place is Masonic. Now, let's look at the woman who saved Bill and sacrificed herself. She's a beauty queen and a famous person. She dies from too much powdered sugar. Keep these in mind. Also, pay attention to the doors in the part where Bill comes home after these events. One says 5A, the other says Helena. Normally, in scenes with these doors, you just pass by. You don't linger that long. But here, we see the writing on these doors for an unusually long time. As if he wants us to read them. Here too, he's trying to give us a message. Kubrick. Let's look at Marilyn Monroe, whose name is associated with the Masons and the Illuminati. She also became a beauty queen, and a famous person died on August 5th the 5th. She died of an overdose of powdered sugar on Helena Drive. So Kubrick wants to imply that Marilyn Monroe also didn't die naturally but was killed by the Masons. The details and information we see even. In fact, these ritual scenes could only have been recreated by someone who was actually there. Or by someone who had serious knowledge about them and could portray them in such detail and in a way that could disturb them. Kubrick did this, and afterwards he was punished. he mysteriously suffered a heart attack just 4 days after delivering the film. In fact, his wife claims that it wasn't a heart attack. It's also known that before he died, he told his friends, "This might be the last time you see me." So this man who had been with the Masons for decades. In the end, he exposed himself and, risking his own death, brought all these events to the screen. And the video ends here. It was truly an interesting topic to research and watch. The director's disappearance and everything was pretty strange. I hope you enjoyed watching. So you can also follow my social media accounts here, including on Instagram. You can also join our Discord group. There's a nice atmosphere there. So until the next video, goodbye.